I sew a lot of curves, and I usually sew by machine. But a few years ago, when I was doing administrative work for the Studio Art Quilt Associates, I found a link to a tutorial on bojagi stitching. This stitching technique uses small, almost invisible stitches to create a flat-felled seam. The word bojagi refers to the Korean style of patchwork. I'm not Korean, and I haven't studied with any Korean masters. So if you want to learn more about that specific technique, I recommend you go directly to the source for that information. At the same time though, what I do is definitely inspired by that style, so it would be wrong of me not to give credit to it. I had never liked traditional piecing because I was worried that my hand stitches weren't good enough to hold or last through the years. But a flat-felled seam is sewn twice, so it's extra strong. Instead of using tiny invisible stitches, I prefer a thick thread that creates its own visual accent on the finished patchwork. So, what do you do with it? Well, I most often use this stitching in patchwork napkins in our house, like this one right here. Growing up, I was told I had to be very careful with the hand-embroidered napkins and the hand-stitched tablecloths, but I've washed these napkins with harsh detergent and dried them on high heat, and both the stitches and the fabric have held up really, really well. Before I did napkins, I did a variety of projects. I did a 100-day project where I sewed curves with flat-felled seams every day for 100 days in a row. I did another project that I've started where I took the leftover pieces from my curve design work and sewn them in improvisationally into little bits that I haven't put together yet. I have a large panel made up of little bits of white and grays and blacks that sometimes hangs in my dining room and lets the light show through as well. All of these projects are sort of works in progress, except the napkins, I guess. But today we're going to finish a modestly sized piece of patchwork that we can use as either a wall hanging or a baby quilt or a table topper. I'll show you what tools you need, how to make the basic stitches, and how to finish the ends if you decide to leave your patchwork unquilted. I think I'm going to quilt mine, but it's good to know how to have a polished hem at the edge. There will be a few places where our knots are going to remain visible today. There's a certain amount of flexibility we need to have in that regard, but your work will have extra character because it's going to be made by your own two hands and we'll be able to see all of those beautiful stitches.